Hey everybody, welcome back. It's John Kelly, your host with Live Free Miami. And today I have a very special guest, one of my good friends and premier yoga teacher in Miami, Nick Bechkahazi. Did I
Yes.
butcher it?
No, you got it, bro. That's it. It's a tough one, but yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for having me, John. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. I've been wanting to get you on here for a while.
Yeah. I've been wanting to speak my voice a little bit, and thanks for the opportunity for allowing me to do that. And when we're gaining knowledge, whether we're a personal trainer, a yoga teacher, whatever, we have to share that with the world, right?
Correct.
So thanks for doing these podcasts. I've seen a lot of people doing podcasts. Let's bring them all out. Let's bring all the knowledge, all the wisdom to the people, right?
Yeah, because it's hard to get all the information at once. And a lot of times people can be overwhelmed with the amount of articles, podcasts, social media posts. And what I try to do in this podcast is kind of distill things down to the fundamentals of health so that people can begin to build their life around their health and then let that ripple effect operate throughout the rest of their life. And that's why I really wanted to bring you on, because when I took your yoga class at Space Park, I could hear a lot of the things that you were teaching during the class resonate with me and what I'm trying to teach people. And whereas I'm a strength coach and you're a yoga teacher, we're sending the same messages. And I think that is what makes you unique in your community, is that you're not stuck on one side of the spectrum. You're open to the full spectrum of holistic health, and you understand that yoga and strength training actually work well in concert. So I was wondering if you could kind of give a background, a short background to our audience, and kind of explain what yoga is to someone who's so in tune with it like you.
Right. Well, first and foremost, I just wanted to say, I came from a background as being an athlete, being a gym goer. I was like a meathead, you know what I mean? Nothing bad about being a meathead and pumping iron and shit, but that's like my background, you know what I mean? So I kind of went through that, being really physical, being very active, just doing a lot of things, and then I ended up injuring myself.
Which kind of happens often.
Yeah.
When you train extra hard too often, you either get burnt out or injured.
Yeah, exactly. There's, a lot of times we get addicted to going to the gym because we get high, you know what I mean? And we always want to be on that level. We're like, yeah, we're lit, we're activated, you know what I mean? So that needs to be balanced. So for me, it was imbalanced. And I remember you talking about how, you were going hard with your training, and then ultimately you kind of burned out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of athletes kind of experience that, right? So I found yoga kind of as, my injury occurred and people were like, okay, come into yoga. Maybe you need to stretch a little bit more, even though I was flexible. But I started out just kind of as the physical yogi, being a power yoga, being more like acrobatic, being more like fitness oriented.
Like athletic yoga.
Yeah, athletic yoga, and there's nothing wrong with any type of yoga. But then, ultimately, the more and more you commit to your practice, you start connecting to your true nature, right? What is our true nature? Our true nature is beyond the body. We're consciousness. The body is mine. The body is mine, but I'm not the body. The body is just my tool, right? So am I sharpening my tool? Am I sharpening my body? Or am I unconsciously moving my body and injuring myself? Like what happens to a lot of athletes, unconsciously moving, or accidents happening, whatever, you twist an ankle, yada, yada, yada. But a lot of times it's unconsciously doing things, right? So in yoga, we aim to connect to our true essence, which is consciousness. So then we can start shaping our life the way we want. I can shape my body in a way so I don't hurt it. I can start healing my body because maybe I need to lay off doing certain things that are actually causing misalignments. And then also it's observing your mind. It's like observing the mind and the body, realizing that I'm above my mind and my body. I'm the consciousness that is like the pilot of my mind, the pilot of my body. I can shift shift my mind in a certain way that I'm capable of alleviating stress, alleviating anxiety, alleviating maybe too much fire to work out. You know what I mean? Because the mind is like chasing those like highs. They're chasing these like boosts of energy, but is that too much fire? So I can witness.
Is it sustainable?
Yeah, is it sustainable? So the consciousness that you connect to in yoga is like showing you, hey, you're too fired up, or maybe I'm too lazy. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. So it's connecting to the best teacher that you have. It's connecting to like your inner light. It's connecting to, it's like being your own guru. Cause like we have so many gurus, so many amazing teachers. We have scientists, we have Sadhguru, we have Dr. Joe, we have all these amazing teachers, but they're not pushing snake oil. They're pushing like what? Consciousness, right?
It seems to be a trend, especially in the last couple years, with more and more people understanding that consciousness is the fundamental existence of the universe, and that we are channeling consciousness, kind of like a radio channels a signal. So what we end up doing is, based upon our input, we kind of program ourselves with limiting beliefs. We program ourselves to think that everything is material. Everything is third dimensional, when in actuality, everything is mind. Like you were saying, everything around us was built in the mind before it became reality. So I think we're starting to see people go back to the root of things and understand that if you can shift your mind in a different direction, you can take your reality in another direction.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, who's shifting your mind though? You know, a lot of times people are like, it's like, I am. That's why we say like, it's connecting to like an affirmation saying like, I am shifting my mind. You know what I mean? Who is setting your mind? The mind is not setting itself. If I don't set my mind straight through consciousness, the mind is going to run away from me like a horse. You know what I mean? So it's connecting to your true nature, which is like spirit, like we said. So one of my great teachers says is focus on what is permanent. You know, matter is not permanent. This table has a shelf life. I don't know, maybe a couple 100 years. Food has a shelf life. It might degrade really quickly. This body has a shelf life. My brain has a shelf life. Consciousness is infinite and eternal. That's divine. So, do you guys want to take control of your life? This is the best way to do it, in my eyes, from my perspective.
Yeah, from your experience.
From my perspective, from my experience, from understanding through all these teachers, and just going through my own process, which is yoga. It's uniting the individuality with source consciousness, which is everything. Source consciousness created everything. It created all that there ever was.
So do you find when you're doing yoga, you're able to connect more with consciousness than you would, say, in a normal workout? Because I feel like when I'm working out, I kind of go into a zone of sorts when I'm working out at a certain intensity. But I can easily be distracted by something like, especially if I'm in the gym, I can be distracted by somebody that has a question or somebody that's using bad form. Whereas yoga, you're kind of inside your own little world. And by being in that own little world, I think you're able to kind of clear away the clutter so that you can kind of hear the signal as opposed to the noise.
So when we work out, a lot of us experience like we're in that zone. We're in the zone. You know what I mean? So that zone is like your consciousness, and that's where a lot of, even doing yoga in the beginning, it was ultimately to help myself repair my back because I injured my back. But then I was still doing things too unconsciously, you know what I mean? So it took me a little time and understanding to realize is that, whatever I do, I got to do it with consciousness. Whatever I do, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Driving, I can't be driving thinking about something else, because you know how many times you drove and then all of a sudden you're like, dang, what happens the last like 15 minutes because your mind was somewhere else. I don't know how you made it to where you were safely, but like we got to be present in the moment, and that only happens through consciousness. So if I'm not present, if I don't infuse my body with breath, I know you had Devon here last week, and he drops a lot of knowledge about the breath. If I don't infuse my body with breath and awareness, then I'm walking around like a doll or like a robot. You know what I mean? Just like running into things, running into brick walls. You know
Obstacles.
what I mean? Yeah, obstacles. So when I infuse my body with breath and awareness, then things really start manifesting what we want. You know what I mean? What are we manifesting? Our reality.
Yeah, and how do you get clear on what you want?
Yeah, how do you get clear?
How many times have you sat around and really thought about what your values are?
Yeah.
Thought about what you want to see in the world, thought about what you want out of life, because as you're growing up, you're told you should go to college. Yeah. You're told you should get a job until you retire. That's what you're told your whole life. But then what happens is you get out of high school, or some people don't even graduate high school, and because they're not having a good experience in it.
Yeah.
We need to also start looking at what it is we enjoy, what we want to do, and how we can bring that to the world, because we're in a unique point of existence where all the information that you've ever wanted is at your fingertips.
Yes, exactly.
Ignorance is now a choice. Yeah. So you can find what you want to do and become good at it.
Yeah,
You can learn, you can begin to create, and then you can begin to earn from that, just like you do from yoga, just like I do from working out. And we are living testaments to this process and how it can be successful. And you might not always have the financial wealth in the beginning, but you have more time, you have more energy, you're spending time doing the things that you like, which are other forms of wealth. And that people often overlook. And when you realize you really don't need that much money, and if you do something that you truly love and you really have a mission versus a job where you're going to do it no matter what, the money begins to flow to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in an abundant way that you weren't even aware could happen. So I think that what we're seeing now, especially with the proliferation of information, is that people are finally able to figure out what it is they want to do, and then from there they can begin to make a living out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like like in yoga we say your dharma, which is like your purpose in life, you know, because a lot of times people think, what is my purpose? I don't know, because like you said, we're conditioned and we're programmed a lot from the moment we're like start, you know, interacting with our parents in a more like communication starts happening, and then I start learning things from school and from society, then I'm kind of like programmed in a certain way. But then those programs are running through my system. I'm like through my brain, the supercomputer, right? So a lot of times we're not aware of these programs that are running through us. And then all of a sudden, when we have that moment, we're like, oh, I was conditioned to think this way.
That epiphany.
Yeah, that epiphany, that like, bam, like that paradigm, you just realize the paradigm that you're in. Shoot, what's happening here the last year? Everyone is being mass programmed through fear. So then with consciousness, you realize, dang, that fear is actually giving me limitations. It's holding me back.
Correct.
So what we want to do is just witness the fear. I'm not saying fear is bad. Our emotions.
Necessary.
Yeah, fear is necessary. Fear is a survival mechanism. So if I have fear, is it going to drive me to do crazy things, or is fear going to allow me
keep you alive?
Yeah, keep me alive and actually make me evolve, because everything is changing. So we got to evolve as well with the world. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind. So
yeah, and the problem now is that fear was something that would come once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we're being bombarded by fear.
Yeah.
So we're living in a state of fear, which is unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly.
So fear is healthy unless, like anything else, you're bombarded by it. Exercise is healthy unless you do it all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Things need to be done in moderation. Even fear needs to be dosed in moderation so that you can remain healthy. Otherwise, you will be unable to create. If you live in fear, you can't create. You have to come to terms with what's going on. Like you said, be present. Don't
Yeah.
worry about what could happen.
Yeah.
Focus on what's here. Don't worry about the mistakes you made in the past. You're no longer that person anymore.
Yeah.
All you have is now.
Exactly.
And when you can become present in the now, then
Yeah.
you can begin to appreciate who you're with, where you're at,
Yeah.
what you're doing, and then you can begin to build your future
Yeah.
because you're living in creation
Yes.
versus living in survival. Now that we kind of have an understanding of what yoga is and how it's
Right.
a tool of consciousness that allows you to connect on a deeper level,
Yeah.
could you maybe elaborate on why you think people should be integrating yoga into their lives?
So, why we should integrate yoga into our lives? First of all, it is the oldest science of life. So, imagine we have all this science going on right now, whether science is proving this medicine works, science is proving this, that.
Going to Mars.
Yeah, all these things. Science is amazing, but like what created science? Thinking. The rational mind started creating science, right? And then science created technology. But who created all of it? It's like the mind, right? So we need yoga as a technology. We
Nice.
need that technology. Why just use my iPhone? Why just use my computer? Why use the camera sitting in front of me? Why use this microphone? And why not use the other technology that I got right here in my heart? It's like distilled in me. That is my center. That is my technology. That everything came through that. Everything on earth was created, I guess, through consciousness, through source. But that's why we are a reflection of God. It's like, so that's why we need to integrate yoga in our lives, because it is the technology. Stop looking for things outside of yourself.
Nice.
There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I'm going to use supplements to help me gain a little more muscle mass.
Sure.
I'm going to eat food. I'm going to use this thing that helps me, whatever it is, improve my life. But then what about what you got within you? You know what I mean? So a lot of times we're just constantly looking outside of ourselves. Look within you. We got it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We truly do got it all. So that's what yoga is that technology. It's a science of life that's been tried and like most of science, it's been developed in the last 100 years, where we start getting more scientific testing and trying things out. What happens?
The scientific method.
Yeah, the methods, and they are proving a lot of things, but
or disproving is what they
or
try
disproving
Right.
as well. Whatever it is, finding truth. So if it took, yoga's been practiced for thousands of years, so it's extremely scientific. It's scientifically proven,
And proven, right.
by process. It's like if you all of a sudden have this idea, I'm gonna try something, and then you did it for 20 years, don't take my word for it. It's like you have to experience it for yourself, kind of, to understand what it is. Then it becomes a deeper understanding.
Yeah, you can only
Yeah.
say so much about
Yeah.
it. And I think coming from my perspective as of more of like the material third dimension strength and
Yeah.
conditioning coach, what I've noticed why people should do yoga, for one, it improves flexibility.
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
That's huge. Like you
Yeah.
think about how often we sit, how often we are in front of a computer, and our
Yeah.
bodies, if we don't use it, you lose it. So
Yeah.
it begins to get tighter, and as you get older, strength is one of the last things to go. Mobility and flexibility, they leave really
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, true.
So right off the bat, you can improve range of motion, you can
Yeah.
improve muscle health,
Yeah.
you can improve metabolism. Those are just a couple physical components.
Yeah.
On top of that, it's a tremendous stress reliever.
Yeah.
So in order for us to kind of balance out the lifestyle that we have of constant information, stimulus all the
Yeah.
time, and being in a stressful state
Yeah.
due to fear, due to work, we need to actively seek ways to relieve stress
Yeah.
and connect to the consciousness that's going to allow you to have clarity on what it is you're doing, what it is you want to do,
Right.
and how to get it done.
Right.
And what I've noticed is the Saturdays that I spend with you at Space Park are much more fulfilling than if I were to go to a bar and watch a college football game and drink a beer
Yeah.
and watch a game that really has no benefit to me. It's more of an
Yeah.
entertainment value, whereas I can go to the park and use my body as a tool
Yeah.
to bring myself more into alignment with who I really am,
Yeah.
and help me on my mission to also bring that
Yeah.
to the masses.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, what you said for sure is like spot on. You know, I love it's like, you know, there's so many directions we could bring it. You know what I mean? We're talking about consciousness a lot, but let's get back to the basics, like the body. You know, first we have to strengthen our body, but it goes beyond like, yeah, we're stretching, we're maybe creating more flexibility, we're creating more strength, but then that's one physical aspect, but then we also have all these energy channels running through us. So it's hard to connect to source, to consciousness, without clearing our energy channels. So by doing yoga asanas, a lot of people think yoga is just doing the postures. It is not. It is one of the things, you know what I mean? It's one of the processes, that one of the instruments and tools we use. But with distance speaking, in terms of the asanas, we are actually clearing those channels, because without clearing the channels, we have a lot of distortions. You know what I mean? We have distortions of energy, distortions with the personality, our emotions, our character, distortions through the programming that went through us, the conditioning, all those things. So when we do the asana practice and we breathe, then the channels start opening up, and then it's easier to connect to like our true nature, getting back to consciousness. But a lot of times it takes the physical practice. All right, first I feel myself being a little more flexible.
Yeah, you connect to the material first.
Yeah, and then at that point, my mind is now becoming more flexible to expand, because if I'm stuck on these concepts that I think I know, that I learned, then I don't really have, consciousness can't really expand. And that's the goal, is to expand, you know, our tissues, so we're more flexible, we can move, but also the mind needs to expand, so, and not contract.
Yeah, because with a larger awareness and a larger consciousness, expanded consciousness, you become more aware of things in your life that you might have noticed.
Exactly.
Something similar to that is, I've had some deaths in my life recently. My mother, my brother, people that are very close to me, which allowed my awareness to grow. It allowed my awareness to increase and see death in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
I always saw death as a negative, but now I'm starting to see it as a necessary part of our existence, so that we can continue to evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
I've learned more in the deaths of the people close to me than I did in all the years that I had in life with them. Right. Because now I have a reflection of what it's like without them, because I never knew a life without them. Now I can see what life is like without them, and how I could have done a better job connecting to both of them in life, which allows me to connect better to you, to Jello, to every member of this gym, to my wife, to my son. So those lessons in death, in consciousness, I wasn't able to understand until I was forced to be expanded in my awareness. What's unique about yoga, in my opinion, is that it allows you to proactively increase your consciousness, increase your awareness, and bring you closer to people in a spiritual way.
Exactly.
Because we get so stuck in the programming of this separate entity outside of me, when we're really all part of the same source.
Exactly.
And if we can begin to look at each other as being reflections, and what I do to me, I do to you, and what I do to you, I do to me, then I'm going to start treating you way better, because I understand that by treating you better, I treat myself better.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that begins to expand out. And we are always talking about things need to change. Oh, we need to change this. We need to change that. Well, guess what? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And who is responsible for change other than ourselves? So I feel that we need to begin to look at life in a way where we are the ones that are the people that are the reason for the way things are. Because we allow it to happen. By not expanding our consciousness and staying within this bubble. It's like an example would be the news, right? I always tell my wife, I believe in life proliferating throughout the universe.
Yeah,
I believe
exactly.
if there's millions and billions of galaxies with billions
yeah.
of stars, that there's life throughout the universe.
Oh, yeah.
We can't even get to the next star. And I've always been like, yeah, I believe in extraterrestrial life.
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
course, it has to be, because that's the way spirit works. And then I'll be like, the only time people are going to begin to think that it's real is when some talking head with a suit comes on TV
Yeah.
and says, oh, guess what? This is real. Now you're going to believe it. They say, oh, take this vaccine. You're okay. First of all, you don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
Why are you going to put something in your body if you don't know what's in it?
Right.
We need to begin to look at things from a different perspective
Yeah.
and begin to understand that everything we need, like you said, is within.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get some sun, you ride your bike, you take some time out of your day to breathe, to develop yourself, and eat the right foods, because guess what? You learned about what's good and what's bad to put in your
Right.
body. Nobody needs to teach you that. That's
Yeah.
your responsibility.
Yeah.
You're going to be healthy. Oh my God. And if you're healthy, then you're going to be able to follow your dreams. Oh,
Yeah.
now you're making the money you want. Now you're able to do what you want with your time, and it all comes back to being responsible.
Yeah.
And I think that training is important,
Yeah.
yoga is important, breath work is important,
Yeah.
sleep is important, nutrition is important,
Yep.
but we're never taught that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like, it's so basic. A lot of times, if you just look at the approach to COVID, it's disappointing because, there's so much knowledge about how to better take care of ourselves, and that's why we're here. You know what I mean? And instantly, before we met, I was connected to the gym because what you had outside, and I knew that there was somebody deep inside this spot, even though. It took me a few years to sync up with you. So, we have to really understand is everything that happens in our lives is created by us. You know what I mean? So that's exciting. So what do you want?
Super exciting.
What do you want to create? You know what I mean? Otherwise, people are like, this happened to me, that happened to me, but that's because you created it. Even though unfortunate things happen, accidents happen, but it's just the way things work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So did I injure myself? Did I make this, that, whatever? It's just, you're in charge of that. You know what I mean? So you're saying take responsibility for your own life. Otherwise, things are just happening to you constantly, and then you're stuck in this duality of life, being like, this is good, this is bad, or whatever. But if you're tapped into your true nature, then you can kind of transcend duality of life and just realize is that everything was meant to be. The highs and the lows, the goods and the bads, the bliss and the depression, whatever it is. So it's just realizing all that was meant for me to shape my reality through consciousness.
And they're all opportunities.
Yeah, they're opportunities. They're learning lessons rather than saying that was bad. No, my soul had to go through that experience that the ego was saying was bad, but the consciousness knows, hey, ego, shut up. That was needed.
Right.
The consciousness is like saying, thank you. The ego is like saying, that wasn't my fault.
Right.
That just some bullshit happened to me or whatever. Well,
It's this person's fault. It's that person's fault.
Yeah, it's assigning the blame. But then the consciousness is like saying, your true nature is like saying, hey, that was for you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was for you. Stop, don't trip.
Yeah.
Gratitude, getting back to like what Dr. Joe says. It's like gratitude is the number one thing. Gratitude for this negative experience, but it was actually negative experience was a positive one.
Right.
So now I'm taking responsibility for my actions.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what we got to do. We got to take responsibility for our actions, because then our life, if we don't, our life is a mess. You know what I mean?
We don't learn. We don't
Yeah.
evolve.
Yeah, we don't learn.
I mean, what are we
Yeah.
here for? To evolve.
Yeah.
Right? If you think of life on a spiritual term,
Yeah.
you're here to evolve so that you can grow onto the next stage of your
Yeah.
evolution.
Exactly.
And when you talk about mindset, it's key for people to understand that everything is created through our mindset. We can go
Yeah.
back to the example everybody hears.
Exactly.
Is the glass half empty or is it half full?
Yeah.
If you see things as empty all the time, if you're always looking at what you don't have and not embracing what you do have, you're going to be miserable.
Exactly.
But if you go through life saying, wow, I have a friend, I have my body, it can move, I have the opportunity today to be better. Oh, you hurt your ankle? Okay, well, now you can work on your upper body.
Yeah.
Oh, your shoulder's bothering you? Oh, you can do some meditation.
Yeah.
You can do some breathing exercises. Your friend died? You can wallow in pity that you'll never see that person again, or you can be happy that you had such a close friend for 35 years. There's so many ways to look at life that it's up to you to determine how you want to see it, and that gratitude that you speak of, being thankful, creating that energy, that vibration will bring more gratitude to you. I've found in my own personal experience, when I give, I receive tenfold. So I'm always looking to give to people because it always comes back to me in these beautiful ways. So if somebody needs help with something, I'm there to help them. If somebody doesn't need help and they need a hug, I give them a hug. If they need some advice, if they need a smile, I'm always looking to give things to people. Now, guess what? I'm not perfect. Some days I complain. Some days I look at things and I bitch and I moan. And I get back to it. And I remember. And I say, hey, and it all comes back to my programming. If I'm reading about health, I live a healthier lifestyle. If I'm reading about meditation, I meditate more. If I'm reading about treating people better, I treat people better. But if I'm looking at social media and it tells me that more people are dying, it tells me that the government is corrupt, it tells me that the dollar is crashing, now I'm beginning to be programmed again in that negative fear mindset, which is the opposite of gratitude. Sometimes, like you said, it's the simplest thing in the world to just sit down and breathe. Right? Like you talked about, you rode your bike here because you're just able to save money on gas. You're able to get your head clear, get some sun, burn some calories, and you feel good when you do those things instead of getting in a nice car that you think is going to fulfill you. But guess what? Somebody's got a nicer car. You drive to your nice house. Somebody's got a nicer house. If you're always looking for more fulfillment, with more, you're never going to reach it.
It's like fulfillment with more material nonsense, which is not permanent. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with a nice car. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a nice shirt or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But ultimately, it doesn't last forever. What you learn through consciousness is permanent. So really, we got to focus on what's permanent in life. And that's why before we even begun this podcast, we were like talking about what resonates so deeply with us, because that is permanently engraved into our consciousness. It's like, why am I so like magnetized towards certain people or certain activities or certain things? But naturally, though, not conditioned. It's just like, what is my heart really being drawn towards? That is permanent, coming from the consciousness that's within you. So with that, we're tapping into a higher capability. So without that higher capability, there's no possibility to evolve. You know what I mean? So do you guys want higher capabilities of doing more beyond the human existence? Because it's easy for a human to be in the animal mind, which is like basic, even though dogs are smart, cats are smart, and all animals have their own intelligence and own level of consciousness, but they're not as evolved as us as sentient beings. Most of them, maybe like dolphins and whales and a few other beings, are really tapped in like humans, but we don't want to just be in the animalistic mind. You know what I mean? We have the animalistic mind, and then we have the intellectual mind that all of a sudden you're like, hey, check this information out. I start intellectually analyzing it and understanding the concepts. And then there's the
intuitive.
The intuitive mind. So then they're all levels. So the animalistic mind is right here. That's like eating, having shelter, and procreating. Maybe
you can kind of segue into the chakras. So that, because what you're talking about reminds me of chakras.
It's like moving up. So, okay, so a lot of the habits that we have are lying in the lower chakras. Our habits, they're like engraved in us, like what we do day in and day out. Eat, we drink water, we do this, we do that, right? So
have sex.
Yeah,
hopefully every day.
Have sex. Well, maybe or maybe not. You know what I mean? Sex is important, but also.
But it's part of that area.
Yeah. Also transmuting sexual energy, because like, okay, so our lower nature is in this region.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, once we start raising our energy up, and we get to the heart, that's like the breaking point.
The bridge.
Because there's a lot of separation here where, you know, we're just trying to get our own shelter, or trying to get our house, we're trying to get sex, we're trying to get food. Okay, we're trying to get all these things, a lot of times at the expense of other people.
Sure.
Right? And then we have our solar plex chakra, which is like our own personal power. So if that's corrupted, where we're wanting all these things, then we're in our lower nature. We want to bring more awareness up to this region, because the crown chakra is the connection to source, to consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. So if all my energy is being focused in these areas, then, and that part of my biology, then what's happening to my brain? My brain is kind of getting the short end of the stick.
Sure.
Right. So,
and it also, if you stay in that area too long, you begin to get disease.
Yeah, exactly. You get disease because I never thought of it the other day, but my girl the other day, you say disease, but then if you chop up disease, it's dis-ease. So that means is I'm not living through the right amount of ease, because, you know, balancing the effort, whatever you're trying to do with effort, with ease. Otherwise, I am going too hard into something and then I get disease. I'm going too hard into food, into sex, into training, and all. Like, it's all desires, all these habits that I'm like, I'm chasing it, you know what I mean? But it's not, there's not a deeper understanding of what you're doing, a deeper awareness, you know what I mean? That's up here in this region. So the goal is to combine the two, and that's oneness. And that's like feminine energy and masculine energy, because feminine energy is here. There's nothing wrong with it. It's divine. But if it's not balanced with consciousness, which is masculine energy, then
it can't reach its full potential.
We can't reach our potential. So we're just...
Which is the same as if you're too rational.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not embracing your emotions.
Exactly.
You can also get disease. And you can also not reach your full potential.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, masculine and feminine. So the masculine mind is, like you said, more logic. It's very mental. It's like a thinker, you know what I mean? It's like a doer. And then the feminine energy is more of like feeling. That's why women, you know, they get caught up in their emotional mind a little bit. They're like, you know, because they feel a lot more. Men are just like...
Yeah, they brush their but that can also create problems.
Exactly. We brush it to the side, but it's not like felt and then let go of, you know what I mean?
Heart attacks.
Yeah, all these things. So we really want to explore our whole being, and that's what yoga is about. It's exploring like who you are. I said consciousness, but my whole being is masculine and feminine. It's duality, you know what I mean? It's these things. So we have to be whole. And that's what holistic means, is being whole. And it's amazing that, you know, you're really bringing holistic wellness into the world. You're one of the, you know, you're one of the channels.
Sure.
You know? So,
and that's because, similar to you,
yeah,
I had my own experience where I was spending too much time in my masculine energy.
Yeah.
And I began to burn out, because masculine, you know, is related to fire. Yep. Feminine is related to water, more emotional.
Yep.
So I had to discover more of my feminine side. I had to discover and understand and go through that ego death, where I was no longer that alpha male, and I had to realize that I didn't need to always be an alpha male. I didn't need to always be fighting. Right. I could be helping. I could be aiding, and that's a different kind of warrior that I began to embrace in my life as I grew older and as I grew more aware. And I'm much more balanced, fulfilled, and healthy living in this state than I ever was when I was,
for sure,
you know, way on that side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have gotten caught up in that. That's normal. It's just, you know, everyone, we're all gonna get caught up in what you just said, whether we're male or female. Some men are more feminine, some men are more masculine, and vice versa. Some women are more masculine, and so on. So we have to understand, what are we using consciousness? What do we need to bring more into our life? In your case, it was, and mine, as guys, commonly, like I said, it's not always this way, but I needed to feel more. You know what I mean? I need to feel more of what is needed, not just do things like going through a brick wall, like, I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? Because that's like our drive, our ambition. It's very mental, like, but no, let's just sit and really feel what's needed. Do I need even though I have this program that says I am working out, I'm pushing and pulling on this day, I'm doing this muscle group, but then on that moment, in this day that I'm supposed to do my heavy lifting, my body, if I ignore it and I'm not feeling my body and feeling what's needed, then I'm out of alignment. So it's like, we have to really allow ourselves to feel and also be mental at the same time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like just balancing these energies within us. And then we're, like you said, transcending the highs and the lows, transcending being on one side of the fence or the other. We're walking the middle path. That's what the yoga path is. We have this energy. We have our spinal cord, which everyone knows, but then there's a subtle version of it. It's called the Shoshuma Nadi. So we have to tap into that, and that's where energy could start flowing up. And and then it flows up and it goes like this. Yeah. And we're just, everything is feeding everything is self-sustained, you know what I mean? But if it's not here, then this is not sustained. If it's all here, then this is not sustained. So let's just get into this thing of harmonizing and balancing these energies within us. And
how do we do that?
How do we do that?
How do you do that?
Exercise is the best way in the beginning. You know what I mean?
It's necessary.
Yeah, it's necessary. Let's do it. And then, okay, we just exercised a lot, and then my mind is relaxed, and now I can feel a lot more. You know what I mean? That's why people that don't exercise, a lot of times they can't feel. It's like numbness. You know what I mean?
Or they ball up their emotions so much that they have an outburst.
Yeah, they have an outburst.
Because they can't relieve themselves in a healthy way.
Yeah, exactly. So how do I do it? Okay, so my routine is like, wake up in the morning, before getting on the phone, just, have some water, some clean water, sit down. Let me just get into the Zen mode. Since I already woke up, there's not much mental activity going on. Even though sometimes we wake up and the mind's like, oh, dang, what do I got to do? It's like that monkey mind. But like, give yourself an opportunity before you start. Let's set the mind straight. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just sit down in a place that I always do every morning. It's like your sacred space. It's like your...
They've created an energetic
it's like,
frequency there.
Yeah, energetically, it's there. It's like anchored into wherever you live. So everyone should create like a little Zen spot in their house. You know what I mean? You could put crystals. You could put, whatever you want.
Essential oils.
Yeah, whatever you want. Even, if you're religious or anything, put whatever, Jesus there, or anyone that you really connect to that's like someone divine. Just creating this sacred space so you can connect to your true essence. So what I do is first start with some breath work, Just take some deep breaths, really. Let's connect to the most natural thing we do. Just breathe.
The first thing we do.
Yeah, the first thing we do when we're born, breathe. And the thing that we do, that's our body just breathes on its own. So let's consciously breathe. Let's really just tap into that. And then I do some breath work that I talked about, balancing these energies, because we have the Shoshuma Nadi, which is our center. And then we have the left-handed path and the right-handed path. The left-handed is feminine, the right is masculine. So with breath work, a lot of times is like we're coming into the center. Boom. If I'm breathing irregularly, then I'm not in my center. That's why,
Correct.
What the Black Airbender said, I love that what he's really bringing into the world, you know what I mean, is because first and foremost, breath. So wake up in the morning, let's breathe. And then at that moment, it's easier to meditate. It's easier to concentrate. It's very hard to meditate without tapping into breath. It's very hard to concentrate.
Yeah, because people say that all the time. I can't meditate. I can't.
Yeah, so practice breathing. Practice conscious breathing. You know what I mean? It's a practice. Hey, if I never consciously breathe, conscious breathing to learn how to breathe. At that point, now I'm consciously breathing with intention. Then all of a sudden, I can practice meditation easier. I can practice before meditation is concentration, because if you don't put your mind to concentrate on a fixed point a lot of times, then the mind's going to run away. So with breath, I can concentrate on something, on this point.
Yeah, come back to the breath.
Yeah, come back to the breath, okay? Even though the mind wants to run away when you want to like concentrate, come back to the breath. Okay, breathing. Okay, bring back my mind back to this place. Now that I'm fixed on this place through my breath, then I could start meditating, have an opportunity to
connect.
Like you said, connect. Otherwise, we're disconnected. So
yeah, it's good to connect in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, morning rituals. We have so many people talking about morning rituals. What do they do? So I do that, and then I go maybe to my books or my notebooks. Maybe my books while I'm reading, or maybe if I just breathe, I concentrated and I meditated, something just came in to me that's beyond intellect.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I didn't learn.
Inspiration.
Yeah, I didn't learn something, but this inspiration came to me, this idea downloaded into me.
Correct.
It's not, guys, the best knowledge that there is that. Even though I've learned a lot through many
teachers,
sources, many
reading.
Yeah, we have to have people that kind of remove the ignorance in the way of our thinking, you know what I mean? Because if I just tell someone, hey, go meditate or whatever, there's a lot of ignorance behind people. So, hey,
they don't know any better.
Yeah, let's just bring you more into awareness of what it is. And then at that point, I won't really need to listen. I don't have to keep buying all these books and all these things like about self-mastery.
Because there's only so much to master.
What is the self?
Right.
The self is your consciousness that helps you master life. So the true teachers like Dr. Joe and Sadhguru, what are they telling you? They're telling you connect to the self. That's consciousness. So that's what we need. So we have higher guidance. We know things beyond what we learned from the book.
Yeah.
Or beyond, logic, you know what I mean?
Well,
it's like,
I like
mysticism, supernatural.
Right? I think that a good way to kind of like sum that up is that you need a certain amount of knowledge right off the bat to kind of start leading you in that direction. Yeah. Someone to guide you, some information to help you begin to become less ignorant.
Yeah,
then when you begin to practice what you learned, you begin to develop understanding.
Yeah.
And then that understanding allows you to, instead of reading about what everybody else is doing, begin to apply it in your life and develop wisdom.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that we all need to do a better job of acquiring knowledge, creating understanding through action by ourselves, and then developing wisdom of sharing that with other people. Right. And then little by little, we're going to evolve ourselves, evolve those around us, and then that evolution begins a chain reaction to create health and change that we're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. We want everyone to do that process, you know what I mean? Because,
everybody should do that process.
Yeah, everyone should do it, but if they don't, then, they're going to have to learn and suffer, because without connecting to this truth, then it's kind of like a guaranteed loop. You know what I mean? We want to get out of these loops. It's not the loop.
We want to be in the spiral.
Yeah, we want to. Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to be in the circle. We want to be in the spiral.
Even though I was talking about energy kind of recycling and stuff, but that's what it is. It's like spiraling upwards, like moving up.
Yeah, it's not a second dimension. Yeah, it's a third dimension.
Yeah,
move. You got to see it from a different angle.
And it's going up to like the fifth dimension, which is like unity consciousness, where you understand oneness. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you went to the fifth dimension. Yeah. Because we only got a couple minutes left on the cameras. Can you tell everybody how to find you?
Okay, so in the fifth dimension.
Hell yeah.
All right, so yeah, we are in this 3D world, you know, and there's physical objects all around me and you, and I'm sitting on this chair. But the fifth dimension is not physical, and that's why I was trying to explain to my dad the other day. And he's like, well, how do you know about like other dimensions? I was like, you can't see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's there. We're
Yeah.
in it. We're like floating around in that soup. But that's what quantum is like, boom, I am there. So the fifth dimension is understanding that everything is one. It's unity consciousness. It's looking at everything as you, that you're part of it. That's I am you and you are me. And even though the ego mind wants to say like, you're this, you look that way, you got this and that, and there's all this separation, individuality, the fifth dimension is destroying that individuality and just being like, we're all part of the grander picture and everything is interconnected.
Is that why you call yourself Organic 5D?
Yeah,
Nick?
yeah, I would say because the most, you know, again, getting back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, external sources, you know, but like everyone's like, oh, this organic food, it's a huge movement. Yeah, perfect. Eat organic food. We should. But what's the most organic thing we got? We got consciousness. That is true. That's the most clean, natural, pure thing that we got to help us evolve. So organic 5D, to me, that's what we need. That's what is going to heal the earth. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
Yeah, organic crops and all these things are needed. Organic foods.
That's part of it.
It's all part of it.
It's not the root of it.
But tap into your own organic nature. It's just, it's there. It's always there. It's the most natural thing that's within us always. So
where can we tap into your classes at?
So I teach at this amazing space called the Paradise Portal. It's this like epic space I created. It's outdoors. Is
there like a website or anything they can go to?
Yeah, so if you guys find me on Instagram, it's Organics5D. It's ORGANICKS 5D. You can follow me on Instagram, and then you see all the stuff I got going on. If you guys, you know.
And I know you and your girl are working on some online stuff that people can eventually
just
get to.
Little by little. Yeah, we're working on stuff, and you know, again, we have to really activate our voice and start sharing. If I don't feel comfortable sharing with a lot of people, then we just have to share with our close circle. So you're doing big things because you're now expanding beyond your close circles. So for me, my process is
my circle's tired of me, by the way.
Yeah, maybe they are. That's why you're bringing in all these other people.
Exactly.
But they're not getting tired of you because you're preaching the truth. Because a lot of, you know, there's people saying, what is like false light? That's like me relying on you instead of me relying on my organic true essence, my true nature. So that's what we really want is like I'm not going to get tired. Like my teachers pound this into my head. I'm not getting tired of them pounding me into the head because it's
pushing you.
It's giving me light. It's giving me truth. So that's what we're doing here. And that's all I care about in the world. I don't want to force anyone onto anything, but you know, I'm here for you guys.
Saturdays, right?
Yeah,
at
Saturday we also have Space Park, which is you know, it's important to have people around us that we can relate to because, yeah, we might have family and friends we grew up with. I love them, but maybe they're moving another way that we are. You know, maybe they're moving in an opposite direction they are. I still love them. No judgment for being.
Of course not.
They're choosing their own path. Everyone has their own path, but
you got to lead by example.
We got to kind of find our tribe because then we can support each other. We can hold space. We can maybe whatever it is, just assist each other, talk. And relate to each other, like, do you get it? Like, what do you think about this or that? So then we can just kind of
learn from each other.
Yeah, learn from each other, share, and grow. And
become more holistic.
Yeah, we need community. You built a community here. There's a space community. Everyone's building. You know, I grew up in Miami. You did. I believe Brian as well. So many people grew up in Miami, and we're kind of known for a certain thing. Now it's amazing to see everyone coming onto their own, and everyone's like, here we are. Community here, community there, community everywhere, but like woke community, you know what I mean? Woke
building.
Yeah, woke to building a space for everyone to come together and be like, "What's up, fam?
Right.
What's up, soul fam?
Right.
Here we are." Even though family might be blood, but soul fam is soul fam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate your time, man. And
Thank you so
I'll
much.
definitely be at Space Park 420.
Okay, awesome. Thank you,
What's
bro.
the 420 for?
420 is,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, you can put me on the spot. Hey, let's come out in the open here. We're,
We're plant lovers.
Cannabis is legal, and it is a tool as well.
Yeah.
But let's not.
Hashtag medicine.
Yeah, cannabis is a tool.
It's medicine.
Yeah,
it's a
it
tool,
helps
just
us
like-
relax. A lot of people need cannabis to relax so they can connect to their true nature.
Fuck yeah.
It is that, but if I just relax, I'll do the same shit as what cannabis does. I'll
Yeah.
get high as fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm sure we've all went through our journey of cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
And then you realize you don't need it.
Yeah, you don't
and
need
you can do it with your breath.
Yeah, exactly. You could do it with your breath and many other things because that's oneness. That's like I'm everything.
Yeah.
I'm everything if I tap in. So.
Well, Nick, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, to share with me, to learn and teach at the same time. I'm really
Thank you.
appreciative of what you're doing in the community and what you've brought to my life.